What's up, Backgammon fans? It's Christmas time, and now is the best time to play backgammon with your friends and family. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about backgammon terminology. So let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so this is the backgammon board. These pieces are called checkers. They all have the same ability to move and the same characteristics. Those are checkers. The checkers are placed on points. So these triangular shapes represent points on the board. And as we know, the rule says that if you have one checker on a point, you can get hit. If you have two checkers on a point, now you own this point. So that would be making a point or making an anchor. So usually we call it an anchor if the point is made and it's by itself. And if points are made in consecutive order in order to block your opponent's back checkers, we call that a prime or a blockade, but usually we call it a prime. These ones are the back checkers. Blue got back checkers over here, white got back checkers over here. The moment that they escape, for instance, they make an advanced anchor. So that would be an anchor up here on the 4, 5, or the bar point. We call this the bar point. Now it's not really back checkers anymore. Now it's outfield checkers. So they change the name depending on where they are placed. Up here we got the midpoint, or the 13 point. So all the points have numbers. We're starting here from blue's point of view. This would be the 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point, 6 point, 7 point, and so on, all the way up to the 24 point over here in white's inner board. And this would be white's 1 point. And the same goes for white. But we have nicknames for all these points. For instance, we call this the bar point because it's up against the bar. So this would be blue's bar point, this would be white's bar point. Then we got the golden point, that's the 5 point. Named by Paul McGrill, because the golden point is the most important point in the game of backgammon. At least because of the starting position, that's the next point in order, that's the point you want to make. Then we got the midpoint up here. That is called the midpoint because it's midway through the board, and that's where 5 checkers begin in the starting position. Then we got a nickname for the point down here. We call this the ace point, like a game of cards, and we call this the deuce point. But you can also just call it the 1 point or the 2 point. Then we got some funny names for the checkers depending on where they're placed. So a checker alone on a point, that's called a blot, with a B, blot. But depending on its potential, we can give it another name. So for instance, let's put another checker here. Now these two checkers, they would be called builders because they are attempting, or they have the potential to build the next point in our prime. So that if the checkers are placed like this, they would be called builders. Okay, another name for the checkers. Let's say that white is split with the back checkers over here. He doesn't have an anchor. Now let's say that these checkers are up here. Well, they are still builders because they can still build, but now we also call them attackers because these checkers can be used to make a blitz attack. For instance, if blue were to roll a 5-2. So let's review here. They can be builders, that's more if they have the potential to build a prime. They can be attackers, that's if they have the potential to attack. Or they can simply just be spare checkers. So a spare checker is a checker that's on a made point. So if we got a point and it has 2 checkers on it, then it's a stripped point. It doesn't have any spare checkers. The moment we put a checker more, that's a spare checker. We can now use this checker without breaking the point to build or attack. And then we got, this is a stack. If we have 5 checkers or more on a point, we call it a stack or a candlestick. Because you can imagine like each time we put more checkers, it's like dripping, building a candlestick. So this is not something we want to do. We want to avoid candlesticks, it's very inflexible. Okay, what else do we got? So we got the strip points, we got the stacks. Okay, there's one more name for a checkers. That is, let's see, look at this scenario here. If blue had to move an ace here, and he were to play this play, he would be slotting the 5 point. So it's like putting a coin in a slot machine. You're slotting a point you want to make. So in this case, this checker would be called a slot. Okay, what else do we got? Strip point, golden point. Oh yeah, then we got the hit, of course, very crucial. Maybe you already know this one. When we hit a checker in backgammon, we call it, in some games you call it to eat a checker. Well, in backgammon you don't eat it because it doesn't go out of the game, it just has to start all over. So we call it to hit. And that's of course something very important to do in backgammon. We hit checkers and we put them on the bar. So this is called the bar. That's where you go when you get hit. One more thing, the bear-off tray. That's where all the checkers go. When you get all of your checkers into your home board, so let's say blue gets all his checkers into the home board here, and now he is in the bear-off, and that's when you take checkers out. And then the checkers go to the bear-off tray. And then this is the Neptune board, so the bear-off tray is independent of the board. So we put checkers out here, that's the bear-off tray. Now you know a lot about backgammon terminology. So now go play with your friends and family, and Merry Christmas.
BackgammonGalaxy.com